During a recent trip to Colorado, we stopped at the Ridgway Railroad Museum in Ridgway, Colorado. Check out the museum with us. The Rio Grande Southern Railroad was a narrow-gauge railroad that ran from the towns of Durango to Ridgway, Colorado. It was built by German immigrant and Colorado toll road builder Otto Mears. The RGS operated from 1891 through 1951 and was built with the intent to transport immense amounts of silver mining traffic that was produced by the communities of Rico and Telluride. On both ends of the railroad, there were interchanges with the Denver and Rio Grande Western, which would ship their minerals to smelters like the one in Durango. The RGS closed down and was dismantled in 1952-1953, but it is well known for one of the most rugged and iconic narrow-gauge mountain railroads in the history of Colorado. There are several excellent examples of rolling stock used on the RGS, including Galloping Goose number 4. Galloping Goose is the popular name given to a series of 7 rail cars, officially designated as motors by the railroad, built in the 1930s by the Rio Grande Southern Railroad and operated until the end of service on the line in the early 1950s. All of the geese were built in the railroad shops in Ridgway. The first was built in 1931 from the body of a Buick Master 6 4-door sedan. Number 4, seen here, was on display in Telluride until its restoration in Ridgway. Speaking of number 1, Ridgway has a replica of it. There are actually 2 motors on the Rio Grande Southern that bore the number 1. The first number 1, built in 1913, was an inspection speeder derived from a Model T Ford and may be considered as the ancestor of the geese. The design of the motor was an immediate success, and Goose number 1 soon replaced the passenger steam train between Dolores and Durango. She was scrapped in 1933. This replica was built in 2000 and built from the same type of car as the original number 1. It is operational. When the DNRGW began to abandon their narrow gauge lines in the 1950s, they donated a number of cabooses to Colorado towns that were served by the narrow gauge. Denver and Rio Grande Caboose 91, with its vibrant red exterior, once marked the end of long freight trains traversing Colorado. This iconic rail car served as a rolling office for conductors and brakemen. It provided a vantage point to monitor the train's safety and operations as it journeyed through the San Juan Mountains, connecting Uray's mines to distant destinations. This Plymouth locomotive represents the industrial might that once powered Uray's operations. Locomotives like this were essential in transporting ore and supplies, overcoming the rugged terrain of the San Juan Mountains and keeping the mining boom alive. Like most DNRGW MOW cars, Work Car 04914 was converted from an unneeded 4000 series boxcar and retained that number with an addition of a 0 to designate non-revenue service. It began its MOW service as a bunk and commissary car, served as an office car, and then as a water service car. The museum acquired it in 2004. Denver and Rio Grande Western stock car 5574 was built by American Car and Foundry in St. Louis in 1904 and subsequently rebuilt by the DNRGW in Alamosa in 1926. It was written off as lost by the DNRGW in 1970. When located in Oklahoma and purchased by Ridgway Railroad Museum, the car only needed paint and stenciling. It was otherwise complete. Rio Grande Southern Coach 252 was built by Jackson and Sharp in 1880 as a DNRG Gothic, sold to Otto Mears, and lettered Rio Grande Southern 252 in 1891. It was used on the daily passenger trains between Ridgway and Durango until the early 30s, when the passenger trains were replaced with motors. It carried 48 passengers and flip-over Bunton seats. It had a bathroom and later 2 coal stoves. It was finished with varnished ash paneling and a white ceiling with kerosene lamps. There are other exhibits to see at the museum, and if you are anywhere near Ridgway, Colorado, plan to pay the museum a visit. Check out their link below. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to the channel.